James Kaufman, World News Report today. In breaking news, we've just had a very strong solar flare. They're calling it an M1.79, but in fact it was much stronger than that. It was from an unnamed sunspot, the same sunspot that produced the huge backside halo flare, which occurred just yesterday. Now, yesterday's flare was definitely an X-class solar flare. This was much, much stronger than an M1.79, but that's how our GOES X-ray flux and our GOES satellites picked it up. I do have some pictures of the flare going off. It looked like there was an associated coronal mass ejection. Very hard to tell. They had the equipment, GOES, turned off for about 20 to 30 minutes here. So let's take a look at that. This peaked at 1900 UTC time, which is 12 noon central here in the US. They are now calling it two flares, which I actually thought it was two flares based on the proton flux I'm about to show you guys. That's going to show y'all how strong this flare was. Now, this sunspot group is coming around the limb and should be named by tomorrow and be Earth-facing over the next 12 to 13 days here. This is not a good situation heading into September. Today, we had just a 1% chance of having an X-class solar flare and only a 15% chance of having an M-class solar flare. Well, that ship sailed. We only had a 55% chance of having a C-class solar flare, and we've been maintaining a C baseline. So I don't know what is going on with NOAA. Although the GOES X-ray flux does not really show a double M flare, our proton flux will in fact show that. Looks like this event all started right around 1800 UTC time, which would be about 11 a.m. this morning, and ended about an hour later. So folks, a fairly long-term M flare, although this very well might have been another X flare from the same sunspot that produced a huge backside halo eruption, i.e. coronal mass ejection, yesterday. Over to HMI intensogram. Now, I thought this was going to have been generated from newly named sunspot AR4191. It's looking more complex than simple. They're calling it simple here, i.e. it's green. But, in fact, this came from the sunspot group coming around the limb currently in the southern hemisphere. I'm going to show you what that looks like on the backside as well. Now you can see why I thought it might be two events. The first event started actually heading back down. This is our GOES proton flux, and this is the 10 million volt line. Started heading back down, and then all of a sudden it started heading back up. So I said, wait a minute, this looks like two events. Now it takes an awful strong flare to even move this GOES proton flux, especially if it's not at all Earth-facing. So you can guess that this was a big, strong flare. Here is that event. Now this was shut down for 20 or 30 minutes. I had to wait to see this event. Unbelievable. A 1-2 punch. You can see that it definitely lifted a coronal mass ejection off the sun, but it will not hit Earth because of where the sunspot's located, obviously. Very close to making it around the incoming limb here. This thing should be named at some point tomorrow. And let me tell you, this sunspot is extremely dangerous. Extremely dangerous. Over to our absorption prediction center, see how much X-ray radiation we received. This popped off right about 1800 UTC time, about 11 a.m. this morning. I was having internet problems. You can see that it impacted all of Central America, which is North America, and most of the United States, if not all the United States as well. And it was a very long-term event. You'll see that here at 1940, it's still ongoing. Pretty much covered all of the U.S. here. And this ends at 2030 or 2026, 2.5 hours. And Earth is still being pounded with X-rays. Now, this probably went on for about 3 hours based on what we're seeing here. An unbelievably long period of time. I don't see the double whammy that I expected to see on that X-ray flux. It must have all happened basically at one time. And in fact, it did happen at one time. You can see that this ends at 1855 and this starts at 1855. So there was no null. The activity, the M flare activity, continued at levels right around M1.7, M1.8. And that was highly eclipsed by the incoming limb. Taking a look at the backside here, this is the sunspot group that we're talking about right here. Now it's a day and a half old, so this is actually moved to where it's almost around that limb. This is the Earth-facing part of our sun. You can see what it looks like down here as well. It looks like separate sunspots, but they have it as what looks like 016, and it looks like a very large sunspot group, and that was its second very large flare in 48 hours or less. So there you have it, a 1-2 punch. Definitely a coronal mass ejection was lifted off the surface of our sun. It will have no effect on Earth, but this sunspot group is about to be Earth facing. So buckle up, buttercups. This one is here to play some serious games. God bless you guys. Please share, subscribe, and always remember, anything's possible in Bizarro World.